What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today, I don't even understand you. I mean, I don't. Well, that's because this isn't an interactive form. This is me speaking to a camera. This isn't Dora. I'm not an explorer. So, if you're trying to talk back to me, I don't even understand you. It's also the name of a movie that's releasing this weekend, and I got an advanced screening to it. Look at that. It's Nick Kroll and Andrew Rannells are starring in sort of uh, a European realistic comedy. A little bit of it becomes somewhat of a survival thriller, but not really for any other reason other than the fact that a lot of times we Americans go places that maybe we shouldn't go. And it doesn't necessarily mean, uh, cannibals everywhere or deliverance, but it just means we should probably learn the language, carry a book around. We take our technology for granted a lot in terms of being able to Google Translate everything. So click like and subscribe because I'm trying to create a little cult following here for me as a blind film critic on YouTube. We're building it. We're working on it. This is a film that was a little hard to follow without audio description. I'm gonna be honest. Yes, most screeners don't have audio description. Why should they? There's only one blind film critic, right? My argument is, do you think all of the guilds that you will end up submitting to for year-end consideration? Think again, because I know blind people in guilds. Yeah, so uh, it's set in Italy. It's a couple, Nick Kroll and Andrew Rannells, who take a trip to Italy. They're sort of on the verge of expanding their family. They've done like the video to be like, "Hi, we'd like to be parents. That'd be great." And they're also on this trip. But while out in sort of the country, their car breaks down and they're stuck in sort of like real Italy, not touristy Italy, where people are used to catering to people who speak English. So these are sort of Italians who don't really speak English or a lot of English, and they're having to negotiate with people who, of course, often gays are portrayed, we are a little bit as being sometimes uptight, a little clean, a little finicky, a little picky. We like our clothes, we like our hair products, whatever it is, we're not the kind to like go traipsing through the woods really in any scenario. Um, so that's sort of some of the humor that's pulled out here. And the film kind of goes from there. It made me think of a lot of films that have this approach to sort of we make so many films where we send like Americans to Europe and we just sort of expect Europe to cater to us. And what I thought was refreshing about this was it was a film that was distinctly about not that. It was distinctly about going to Europe and also not getting caught up in some sort of like weird hostile situation from Eli Roth either, but just rather experiencing a situation where it's like it would behoove you maybe to do a little bit of language learning, a little bit of not fully relying upon things that have batteries in order to survive in the wilderness. So it's clever. And of course, I love Nick Kroll. I think he's hilarious. I think Andrew Rannells is hilarious. So pairing them together here, I thought was delightful. Amanda Seyfried pops up in this, but not in a big role. So, but she's a notable name that I don't want to leave her off in case there's an Amanda Seyfried fan watching this video who's doing a bucket list of all the Amanda Seyfried performances. I so yeah, I don't have a ton of thoughts on this movie because it was one of the films I struggled a little bit more with. Because again, that's kind of the point. So I'm not even that mad at it because it sort of highlights, in a way, how I would be if I was in Italy. I mean, I'm struggling with it as a film because it doesn't have audio description, which is an accessibility thing that I would need in terms of subtitles. But I think looking at this film from a perspective, it would almost be hilarious to not subtitle anything. Like, I don't know that any of the Italian is subtitled. I think if I was doing the director, if I was doing the choice here, I wouldn't subtitle it. I think the entire thing is based on the actors' reactions. Now, there's a fair amount of the film that isn't, full of dialogue as a result. It's not like a huge conversation piece. So I would still prefer audio description. But if the choice was for us to be confused due to lack of recognition to put us in the shoes of our leads, I would understand that. So I'm not as mad at this film as I am some other films that don't have audio description, because I think that's the experience. That's the ride we're supposed to be on with them, is watching them. And I don't know. It's possible that the director has a strong choice here in not letting the audience know what they're saying in Italian. Sometimes it's funny because, there's that misinterpretation where you see the character and they're thinking that somebody's saying something, but they're saying something completely different. Other times, it's just a mystery. We don't subtitle everything. Like, not everything is translated for us. Even when I was sighted, when I could see, there were plenty of times where little bits of dialogue that were in another language didn't always have subtitles to them. Like, it was just a thing that somebody said to somebody, and it wasn't like a huge part of the conversation, but the lead character wasn't supposed to understand what was being said, so we weren't supposed to understand what was being said. Should you see it? I would say if it has audio description, I don't know why not. I just can't, I have no grade for this because the audio description just creates, the lack of audio description creates sort of this like wide range where it could be, I'm not mad at it. I think it's like creatively strong, but it's one of those things where there's a huge sliding scale. Even when I'm resting positively on a film, I consider anything C+ and above to be like what I would give a fresh score, like on a sliding scale. So there's a huge difference between me telling a director I gave their film an A and a C+. There's, just like on the other end of the scale, C to F. One of those sounds a lot better than the other. So yeah, it's sort of a little bit of a coin flip situation, but that's when you get into the details, into the weeds of the beats that I missed and figuring out how that lands, and that's what audio description helps with. Anyway, check this movie out. If it comes out with audio description, I do not know. It's being distributed by Vertical Entertainment. I think they've used audio description before, but I think they're inconsistent. I think they're a little bit like Neon, which does use audio description, just not all the time. Or I'm trying to think of some other distributors that don't always do it. They're the closest comparison that I can think of. So there you go. My grade is no grade due to lack of audio description. Not the most informative review, but I hope you have an idea what the film is about. I think films like this too, they just, when they hit during the summer, if nobody mentions them, they just kind of flop, and like people go see whatever is the loudest movie during the summer with the most advertising. Last weekend, Tornado opened, and I loved that movie. And it opened with not even full screens. Like, my theater wasn't even running the movie in a full screen of a 20-plex theater. It couldn't even afford to give Tornado one screen to itself. It had 2 showtimes a day. So movies fight for space at this time of year because we have to make sure we give Lilo and Stitch 5 screens. So the creatively innovative Lilo and Stitch, just out of nowhere, just brilliant and wholly original work. This feels like a nice trip, a familiar trip, but a flip on it in a way that was fun. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.